So I asked you guys on my community tab as well as on Instagram what non-celebrity and strategy videos you wanted to see from me. And a lot of you had questions about leveling up financially and moving up in class. And I'll be honest with you, I am not equipped to give financial advice. That is just not my lane. I have a financial advisor that helps me in that area, so I will not be making financial content. But I can tell you some of the steps I took specifically while I was in my 20s to move up socioeconomically, and also what I'm currently doing to move up even further. And I've shared bits and pieces of my lifestyle here on YouTube and on Instagram. So if you know, you know, this is 100% coming from my real lived experience. And if you don't want to take my word for it and you're interested in hearing other successful women share how they leveled up, I also have a lifestyle series on my website where I interview Black women from boss babes to housewives to child-free women and more. And they share some of the steps they took to move up in class. So if you're interested, definitely check those out. Also, both of my feminine strategy series are available on my website, chrissyonline.com. If you are a newbie and you didn't know, I have been doing strategy and solution-based content for years. It's nothing new on this channel. Unfortunately, I just can no longer keep certain content up because of the trolls. Now, it goes without saying that what I'm going to cover here may or may not work for everybody. Keep in mind that everyone's level up journey will look different. And I talk a lot about the more shadow side, social climbing aspect of leveling up in my exclusive member patron videos. And I definitely use those strategies and still do. But what I'll be discussing in this video are the general steps I took to level up. And some of these will work for most people, but the idea is not to copy exactly what I did, but to instead use some of the information to customize your own unique plan and develop a level up strategy and mindset. So the first step I took obviously was I went to college. Shocking, right? But obviously obtaining some level of post-secondary education is the best and quickest way to move up in class. And obviously the type of degree or certification matters. If moving up in class is the goal, you need to choose a field that you are interested in, but also a field that has high earning potential, like something in STEM, for example. But I encourage you ladies not to listen to ignorant men and women of the manosphere, or even some of the level up hypergamy, femininity, or trad wife girls who are telling you that your degree doesn't matter, because it absolutely does. I know there's a lot of talk about how useless degrees have become, but that is just not true for all of them, and the stats don't support that claim. And as I've said before, I think a degree should be used as a social tool for Black women to move up, not necessarily something you always lead with everywhere you go. Your education should not be your entire personality. And if you want to be well-rounded and take advantage of multiple methods of leveling up, you can't only rely on your degree. You need other soft skills as well. And I'll talk more about that throughout the video. But overall, having some level of post-secondary education will make you more qualified for better jobs that offer more income. It is a no-brainer. So go to school, learn a trade, learn code, or some other skill that is going to help you level up. I know the job market is competitive, but that is all the more reason to have a degree or be certified in something. Something else that really contributed to my level up was that I was extremely active in the job market. When I was in the workforce, meaning when I was working a regular 9 to 5, I obviously still work, but I just work for myself now. But I was the type of person to apply to 10 jobs a day when I was looking for a job. It wasn't I'm going to apply to this job today and then apply to another place tomorrow. No, I was literally sending my resume to at least 10 companies a day. That was my minimum when I was looking for a job. I did not play around when it came to job hunting. I'll never forget a friend of mine saying that if someone ever asked her how to get a job, she would refer them to me because I was very good at getting jobs and good paying jobs as well. And when I say good paying jobs, I mean jobs that were considered good middle class office jobs for a person in their 20s at the time. And I won't get too specific because I don't want to tell all my business, but I've had medical office jobs. I've had insurance office jobs. At the airline I worked for when I started YouTube, I had a decent paying office job there. And I've mentioned working for an airline in the past, and people were spreading rumors about me being a flight attendant and a ticket clerk, but that is not true. It seems like when you're a woman and you tell somebody that you work for an airline, they automatically assume you're a flight attendant. I could have never been up in the air like that all the time. I like to fly, but not that much. So no, I was not a flight attendant. And I'll be honest, when it came to being able to get good jobs, for me, it wasn't so much about being the most educated or qualified. I just really mastered my soft skills. And this is why I say those are very important, especially if you are not highly educated or a school person. Me, I'm really good at interviewing. I know how to appear very confident when interviewing. Even if I'm nervous, I've learned how to mask my nerves. I'm also very charming and I knew the right things to say to get hired. I was also very good at writing cover letters and knowing the right resume and cover letter to send depending on the company and position I was applying for. I literally just helped a friend who was in STEM with her resume last month. This woman went to med school and she asked me, the business marketing major, to help her with her resume. So it's not always your education or being book smart or your connections that get you in the door. Sometimes it's your personality, it's your way with words or gift of gab. And I happen to be very gifted at gab if you haven't noticed. I also negotiated my salary and asked for more money when I got a job offer. And this is very important, and it's been a while since I've been in the job market, but I would still encourage women, and especially Black women, to ask for more money because we are often underpaid. So I politely asked for more money every time I got a job offer, and I always got more than what I asked for. And because when you ask for more money, the counter offer will usually be lower than what you asked for, I recommend aiming high. Do not lowball yourself in fear of rejection, ladies, because they chose you and they want you to take the offer. They don't want to go through more resumes and a bunch of new interviews to find another candidate. So they will usually raise the offer. You have to know your worth and you have to ask for what you know you deserve. Remember, closed mouths do not get fed. And when it comes to making money, I always open my mouth and put my hand out. And I'm not talking about begging, but asking for and accepting what I know I deserve. So moving up in class takes confidence or being really well at faking confidence. But if you have it naturally and you just know you deserve whatever it is you want, you'll take that energy with you everywhere. And it's funny because some people on this app swear I don't have confidence, but I can assure you I would not be where I was at without some level of confidence, audacity, and a strong belief that I can succeed. I just wouldn't have been able to move up without that. I also never stayed at a job that I wasn't moving up in, or if I didn't like the management or the business practices or the overall morale in the company, I would leave. I definitely was the stereotypical job hopping millennial. And I know that's not considered a good thing. It can look really bad to employers if they see that you've worked a different job every year or you've moved around a lot. So I'm not necessarily saying that's a good strategy for everyone, but I also don't recommend getting complacent at a dead-end job or a job that you absolutely hate. And sometimes jobs will offer you a promotion or higher pay if you put in your 2-week notice. That's happened to me a couple times. So don't allow these companies to take you for granted if your professional needs aren't being met. Something else I did to move up in class was I created my own streams of income. Just like I had several different jobs, I've also had several different side hustles. I've sold clothes, shoes, handbags, jewelry. I started a liquidation business, and this was all before I started making money on YouTube. Now, even though YouTube is a side job now, I really can't add it to the list of side hustles because it started out as a passion project from Facebook where I promoted dark-skinned women for free. And I moved to YouTube to have deeper conversations about colorism, and my channel happened to grow to a decent size, and eventually it turned out to be a side job. It was a job that literally fell in my lap, and it was totally unplanned. But sometimes you will accidentally fall into your purpose that also happens to be lucrative. I'm naturally a very curious person, so I'm always picking up new hobbies or looking for new ways to make money. So I recommend that you keep yourself open to new possibilities because sometimes money will show up where you least expect it. And that leads me to the next step. I took a lot of risks. Leaving different jobs, investing in new business ventures can be very risky. And I have lost a lot of money. I'm talking thousands of dollars investing in new projects that flat out failed or didn't go as planned. Y'all have seen some of those failures. And does it suck? Absolutely. But that just comes with the territory. Nobody gets it 100% right when they're moving up the ladder. Even the biggest and brightest business people have failed. And that's something else about me. Throughout this process, I had very little fear of failure. In my mind, I felt like I was cheating myself or missing out if I didn't at least try to make whatever happen that I was trying to make happen at the time. I failed so many times, y'all, and there have been times when I cried and boo-hooed about it, but I got back up, I took the L, I learned the lesson, and I moved on to something else. So this process requires accepting that you will sometimes fail and also pushing through that failure and everything that comes with it. The embarrassment, the disappointment from being wrong or misguided, the financial loss, etc. See, we tend to talk about the fun, shiny parts of leveling up and the soft life that is on the other side, but the journey is not always soft, and that applies to anybody who moved up in class. I don't care what they say. Whether or not you leveled up through a man or by yourself, you will likely experience some hard times. And to me, it's the realism that is missing from some of these level up conversations. I'm not saying we have to hyperfocus on the negative, but if you're giving advice, you have to talk about the hard part because it's not always easy. That is just the reality. I also did a lot of networking. Being that I was always somewhere trying to sell something, I was always going to events around the city. I would sell my products at various places like clubs, expos, parties, and I met a lot of important people along the way. I met other business owners. I met my mentor while networking. And because I was not only really hungry, but also open to criticism and willing to make adjustments, she very graciously took me under her wing. And I want to reiterate the importance of networking and seeking out networking events in your city or other cities that you want to live in, or even attending virtual networking events, because that is how you meet people who are on the level that you want to be on. Even if you're not that good at networking or you don't meet anyone important the first few times, keep going. I'm a naturally introverted person. I am an INTJ. So inside, I may not always be the most comfortable in social settings or necessarily want to socialize, but I've learned to code switch and push my way through it and look like I'm enjoying it and be friendly and inviting and personable. Again, leveling up to the next level won't always be comfortable or easy, and you'll have to get outside of your comfort zone sometimes. And no, you won't always be able to quote unquote keep it real and be yourself. You will have to play the game sometimes. So anybody who thinks moving up in class will be a walk in the park and you'll just be able to always do what you want to do, you are in for a rude awakening. I also lived below my means for a while. Many of you have seen my luxurious apartment that I live in now, but it took some sacrifice to get here. And even now, my apartment is my highest expense. It's just the thing I choose to splurge on. But there were periods of time in my early 20s when I was single, I didn't feel like being bothered with a relationship, and I was doing it on my own. So I was on a very strict budget and I cut corners wherever I could. I learned how to do my own nails, for example. I was never big on having super done looking hair, so I was perfectly fine with styling my own hair at home. I could never do the super intricate styles on my hair like braids and stuff. I'm just not that skilled, but I could do and still do simple natural hairstyles that look good. And thankfully we have YouTube, and you can find a YouTube hair tutorial on pretty much any hairstyle that you want to have. I also prepared a lot of my meals at home as opposed to ordering out all the time. And I still do that now just because it's healthier. But back then I went out to eat like once a month. And as far as clothing, I've never been the type to spend a lot of my own money on designer fashion. I'm the type to spend my money on my home and home decor or quality food or traveling before I spend my money on a designer item, and I'm still that way. Some of that stuff to me is just not cute enough for the price. And when I was at the beginning of my level up journey, I had no problem wearing cheap clothes. And to be honest with you, if I see a cute shirt at Target or Walmart, I am buying it. I don't care who says anything about it, because I feel like places like that have a really cute holiday stuff. I got a few Halloween and Christmas shirts that I got from Walmart and Target. But back then I was shopping on the clearance rack, and still looking cute, by the way, and making it do what it do. And even though cheap clothes may not last long, you put them in the washer a few times and it's over, but you can still make cheap clothes look nice if you stick to classic looks. So that's what I did, and I still do if I'm wearing something cheap or something from a place that everybody shops at, like Fashion Nova. I keep it very simple with solid colors and classic looks, no patterns, nothing fancy, because to me, that is when cheap clothes start to look tacky, when you get into the patterns. And a lot of it looks like knockoff designer, and I'm just not into that. But yeah, living below your means at some point is required if you're starting at the bottom. And it's a good rule of thumb in general. Living in a luxury apartment has always been a dream of mine. So again, that's something I choose to splurge on. And you'll have your thing that you choose to splurge on, whether it's traveling, or you might be opposite for me. You might like to splurge on designer items, but you need to make up for that in other areas and cut back. Something else I did was I cut off a lot of my so-called friends. There was a time during my 20s when I moved across town away from everybody, and I cut off all my so-called friends that I felt I was pouring into and not getting the same in return. And these were my friends who weren't doing much of anything in their lives, or who I felt were leeching off of me and draining me. I cut them off almost cold turkey. I stopped partying with them every weekend, and I centered myself and my goals. And that is something you will have to do if you are dealing with people that are weighing you down and slowing you down from reaching your goals. I've seen people literally move out the country to get away from their toxic family and friends. And I'm not saying you have to do something that drastic, but if you're around a lot of toxic people that don't want to elevate, at some point you are going to have to cut them off if you want to move up. That's just the way it goes. And let me tell you something else. The length of the friendship does not matter. Sometimes you have to cut off childhood friends that you've been friends with for 15 and 20 years, or distance yourself from them. And this is another part of the level up journey that can be very uncomfortable, and it can be hurtful, but you have to do what you have to do. I also isolated myself and hyper focused on increasing my income. And that period of isolation and extreme focus is what really pushed me to the next level. And this is another part of the level up process that I don't think people talk about enough, but this is what makes a lot of successful self-made people so successful. It's that intense fixation and tunnel vision on completing goals or working on projects and literally blocking out the rest of the world while you're doing it. And for me, it was things that I was passionate about, so I had no problem focusing. So doing this with your purpose or something you actually like to do and something that is yours, like a business that is yours, it makes it a little easier, but be clear, it's not always easy. And I'm not even saying that this is the healthiest way to do things, because it's not always healthy, and there's a lot of sleepless nights. Sometimes you become a workaholic, sometimes you neglect yourself, but it does produce results. I can't lie about that. I don't think leveling up comes without any sacrifice. I don't. And if you're starting from the bottom, there's going to be times when you have to self-isolate and work really hard on whatever it is you're doing to level up. So again, don't expect it to be a walk in the park the whole way through. Overall, I live a pretty soft life, but there were definitely some hard moments, and there still are. I also was single for an extended period of time, and I do believe that helped me level up as well. And I've said before that I recommend that every woman be single and don't date. And I'm talking about don't date at all for at least a year or two. And that is so you can not only learn yourself, but learn to be okay with being alone and learn to be self-sufficient, both financially and emotionally. Once you've learned to be okay with being alone, you'll have much higher standards in men, and you won't choose out of desperation. Now, on the flip side, I also dated hypergamously to level up. I am not going to pretend that I got here all by myself. When I was dating during my 20s, I did get money from men, especially the times when I wasn't working and in between jobs. I told y'all before that my stepdad taught me to never date broke men. And even though I didn't grow up rich, I always saw him giving my mom money when he got paid. He always gave me money and little gifts and trinkets all the time, even if it was a bag of candy or a stuffed animal or some flowers or something. And he told me to never date a broke man without a car. So I never dated a broke man without a car. And having that mindset with men helped me level up, because I always expected a generous man. And if he wasn't that, I quickly moved on to the next. And I've said time and time again that I don't believe in fully depending on a man for your survival. That is just dumb, especially in 2024. But if you're dating them and sleeping with them and giving them children, they should be helping you level up. No questions asked. So if you're going to center marriage and children in your life, absolutely nothing is wrong with that. But make sure the man that you're with is providing a comfortable lifestyle for you and your children, and a better lifestyle than you had before. Millions of women around the world get married, not just for love, above, but to move up socioeconomically and to have access to other social benefits that come with marrying hypergamously. So there's nothing wrong with doing that if you're not the boss babe type or you don't want to hustle your way through moving up in class. We're all different, so we're not all going to take the same steps to level up. Just make sure that you're always putting up some money in your own bank account so you can make it on your own just in case something happens, especially if you are or want to be a housewife. That is something all of the housewives that I interviewed in my lifestyle series stress the importance of. And I know Black women especially already know this, but I have to be responsible on my platform and repeat it over and over again because y'all will be in the comments and pretend like you never heard me say that before. Something else I did was I always sought out new information, and I still do this now. I read about business and stock market trends on Morningstar or Seeking Alpha and the Wall Street Journal. I watch the news to keep up with current events, even though I hate watching the news. If I'm interested in a topic, I research it and I find books and articles to read about it. Like I mentioned earlier, I also have a financial advisor that helps me with my investments. I go to my mentor to get business advice because she's a highly successful businesswoman. I also frequently study the people that I want to be like, as well as my opposition and the people that I don't want to be like, because it's good to be aware of what's going on from every direction and listen to different perspectives. And you do that so you can plan effective life strategies and stay ahead of the curve. So I highly recommend being curious and nosy and always looking for new information, even if it's from people that aren't really your cup of tea. And the last thing I did to level up was I manifested and connected with the universe. And y'all know I wouldn't be me if I didn't get a little woo-woo in this video. I have always been a very spiritual person, and when I was in my 20s, I did a lot of manifestation work. I made a vision board. I constantly visualized everything on my vision board, and I manifested the life I have today, along with doing everything else I described in this video. I do believe I am fulfilling all of my purposes in life. Even though it's hard sometimes, I still feel very content and happy. I believe this channel was definitely one of my purposes and other projects I'm working on outside of YouTube. And I plan on doing a video on this, so I'll wait to go into detail when I do that video. But all I know is that manifestation is real, astrology is real, and connecting with nature and the higher power, whatever you want to name it, can definitely be used as a tool to level up if used appropriately and within reason. I am an extremely logical person, but I still got a lot of answers from the higher power and my intuition. And I believe that the higher power and connecting with the universe keeps my intuition strong. So yeah, those are the steps I took to move up in class. I am still doing most of these things currently because I am still leveling up. So I am on this journey with you guys, no matter what level you're on. We are all doing this together. I hope this helps you strategize your own unique level up plan and in a practical way. You can definitely have the soft life, but there will be some hard moments, and that is just life, but it will all be worth it in the end. So ladies, please share some of the things that you've done to move up in class down in the comments, because I definitely want the ladies listening to get various perspectives from different women. Also, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch up with you in the next video.